Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm super excited to be here. I actually don't come to the cafes. I just made a decision a long time ago in terms of my schedule, which things I could participate and some I couldn't. And this is one that I unfortunately have not yet prioritized to, but I'm really excited to be here and meet some people that I don't yet know. So I created some slides, like, gotta have any good presenter would have some slides here. So let me share my screen. I'm going to have to stop your sound just so you know. And bear with me 1 second. There's some screen slideshow for you so you can see it even better. Awesome. Okay. So I was asked to give you all really an overview. One of the things that I often hear about Leadership Academy is that people don't really understand. There's so much information that they get lost, right? And so what I thought, what if there was a way I could break this down so you really could understand the components of it, and what are the things that you, to be most prepared for this event, want to focus on? So let's jump into it. Let me start off with a little story. This is me. Back in 2014, senior leaders wore navy blue shirts, and I was a senior leader at this event in San Diego, and it was a break, and Vicki St. George said, you guys, if you wanted to, you could get up on the stage to the senior leaders. And I had to tell you, one of my biggest reasons that I wanted to become a trainer for Robbins Research was because I wanted to present at Leadership Academy. That was one of my biggest goals. And I had spoken before, but I knew that I enjoyed it, but that was absolutely my goal. So my friend snapped a picture of me up on stage. So little did I know, the next year I would be back on that stage presenting as a trainer for Robbins Research. So you know what, you got to put it out there and claim it. So that was my little thing here. So let me just tell you, the thing that you're going to get out of today, of spending this little bit of time together, was 2 things. First, you're going to understand Leadership Academy, how it's structured, and be able to absorb the information so much more easily for this time around at Leadership Academy. And the second thing is, when you really understand this event and you really grasp the skills and apply them in your life, it is a game changer in your life. I remember at Leadership Academy last year saying to Vicki St. George, I said, I've been fortunate to have some great education, some great work experience. And the skills that I learned at Leadership Academy, the skills that I learned in the Robbins environment, are often the things that set me apart from all other people. I go to other events and I judge people when they have like facilitators and like we are doing in rooms as senior leaders and trainers leading a room. And I'm like, okay, Vicki St. George would never let this person get in front of a group, right? I constantly think that to myself because we have such high standards here that I am often amazed. But like in any event, we got to have a wheel, right? We got to start with the wheel. So here's my VA put this stage together. We got to start with the wheel and we got to start with the question. Okay. So in a moment, I'm going to ask for, right? We want the wheel. That's right, Sean. We are going to ask somebody to raise their hand and to be willing to ask a question. And there's a prize, of course, because there's got to be a prize. There's only one prize since I'm running this. So the prize is the person who answers the question gets a 30-minute call with me to discuss whatever you want, whether it's coaching, whether it's about your business, you want to know more about Leadership Academy, whatever it is. So if you want to come up here and join me on the stage here, I'm going to let Donna pick somebody to do that. And we're going to play a game and answer some questions. So who's coming up? Awesome. Tony. Tony was the first one up there. All right, Tony, you got to unmute yourself, my friend. So, whenever we begin, we have a question. And the first question is, I don't know where he went. He was right on my screen and now he's gone. Hang on a minute. I hate to talk into the abyss. There he is. All right, Tony, you guys know the first question, right? Do you feel lucky?
Yes, I feel lucky.
All right. Great. Okay. Now, no help from the team here, right? He's got to answer this very difficult question all on his own. What is leadership, Tony? Is it A, leadership is about taking credit for your team's hard work? Or is it B, leadership is about being the loudest person in the room? Or is it C? The ability to significantly influence the thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors of those they lead? So think about it, Tony. Is it A, B, or C?
I'm thinking C.
Three, yes. Awesome, outstanding job. Yes, let's hear it for Tony. Woohoo! Awesome. Thank you, my friend. All right. So Leadership Academy is a 4-day immersive program in which we teach the tools, strategies, and secrets that Tony consistently uses to create an impact and lasting change, right? It's all about lasting change. So here's how it's broken up. It's 4 days. The first day, because we all know, right? In anything that we do, it's what? 80% psychology. So the first day is all about the psychology of a leader and making sure we have a foundation in that. Next up, how do we navigate change? What are the steps? What are the tools that we have to navigate change? Day 3 is creating transformation. And day 4, finally, we're testing our skills. So let's dive down into a little deeper. All right. So here is day 1. What happens on day 1? Joseph McClellan III welcomes everybody. And there's some videos of Tony talking about leadership. We have now, some of you may not have actually been to a live Leadership Academy. I know there's a lot of people who are new in the environment, which is awesome of the last couple of years. But I found this picture of myself from back in the day when we actually would do this in person, and there was a huge room of people. We would get with our teams and we have our little frog. So this is one of the frog that I had at that time. And we play that game individually with our teams rather than how we do it now, where Joseph is on the main stage. So you imagine you have, I could pull more pictures out of everybody standing around and trying to figure out what the secret was to good frog, bad frog. The other thing that happens on this day, right? Here we go. Oops, so I can click this. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta click it down here. We got Miss St. George, right? Miss Vicky St. George on day 1, because again, it's about the psychology, and she sets us up to win for the entire 4 days. And she walks us through the infamous 7 master steps. Now, the other thing that happens is the trainers, you may remember that the trainers actually are the people who do the majority of the presenting at this event, right? And so in the past, when we were live, we would come in earlier even than the other trainers and start preparing and getting our presentations down for those skills that would be taught from the main stage. And so when the pandemic came and Tony built the studio, now there's a group of us who will go down to the studio in Florida of trainers who will go there and essentially do the same thing. It's the same but different, because presenting on a stage and presenting to the camera are 2 different things. But the skills are the same. And so we come there. And in fact, if you're really aware, some people might notice that the way I have structured my talk today follows exactly the same format that we use for all skill sessions at Leadership Academy. We start with the hook, then what's in it for me, right? You notice I tell a little story, right? Here was my personal story, aspirational, and then I give what's in it for you. What will you learn by giving me your attention for the next 20 minutes or so? So anyway, that isn't different. And then Joseph spends a lot of time that day on the physiology of the leader. Okay, I'm going to talk more about 7 master steps in a moment, but let me go on and give you more insights. Oh, I'm sorry. The thing that I didn't say, let me go back. Hang on a second. On day 1, I added this up here too. You notice up there it says step 1, because from a skill sessions perspective, we really are focused our skill sessions on what? Step 1, connect, understand, and appreciate the world, body, mind, and spirit. And thank you, Adam, for doing that with me. There might have been others, but I saw you. Thank you. So that's where we really focus in on step 1. On day 2, we have navigating change. And here we're focusing on 2, 3, and 4, right? So step 2, connect and get leverage. Use pain and pleasure to make change you must. We focus on step 3, interrupt and annihilate the pattern. Boom, scratch the record, change your focus, and scramble the language. And finally, step 4, a tool I use almost every day in my personal and business life, define the problem in solvable terms, okay? And then also I put a picture here for that day because Miss Jan, the body language expert, will be presenting on stage on day 2. And this is a picture, so my friend Heather, I love this. So on the bottom left is in 2020, it was the first time we were in the studio, and Jan was there with her pink glasses as always. But for some of you that weren't around before when we were doing live events, she used to actually hand out the pink glasses. So this is Heather Fatzinger, who's one of our trainers, modeling the pink glasses that Jan would give out to the participants. And I mean, they love those pink glasses. So on this day is when we begin not only the skills and exercises, skills that we have from the main stage, but we also do skills and games, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail in a minute, but we do, if you guys remember, anybody remember the round robins that you did when you guys were at Leadership Academy? So on days 2, 3, and 4 in the morning, and then after lunch, we're meeting our groups, and we have skill sessions that the trainers teach. So every trainer who is at Leadership Academy as a trainer presents. Everybody's in from the main stage, but everybody presents in our team meetings, okay? And we also play some games. But that's a little overview of what happened on day 2. Now, on day 3 is where we actually create the transformation. And we have a focus on that day on step 5, which is what? Access empowering resources, right? A triad that makes them feel great. Yes. Okay. Now, the big thing that happens on this day, and I should have had a picture of Tad Shinky in there. Tad Shinky gets a volunteer from the participants, and he defines an old triad and a new triad. So he'll identify what's something that they might be working on. And some of the things I've seen him do in the past are somebody who might be afraid to step on a stage, as an example. And so what we know is that you have a triad when you're in a place of fear versus a place of strongly being ready to present, right? So what he really does is he works with them on distinguishing between the triad they currently have and the triad for the identity and the goal that they aspire to have. And I mean, if you missed the whole event, don't miss that, right? Because it's so brilliant to see Tad really put all the tools together and to show us exactly how much. We always say physiology first, right? So we talked about the triad, physiology first. So he works with them on their physiology, their focus, and their language. And it's a very, very impactful exercise. And you really get to see just how many changes he can make with a person. I must admit, the first year, again, we're in the studio for the first time, and he's got somebody on the screen, and how's this going to work, right? How's it going to work? But incredibly, incredibly effective. So let's say, again, we had the skills and games in the morning and then after lunch, right? So in the morning, we have team meetings. And the thing about these team meetings that are different from any other event is that we teach skills that you need. We can't teach them all on the main stage. And what's great about teaching the skills in our sessions is it gives a little bit more opportunity to answer any questions, right? If people have questions about the skills, not a lot of time, but it's a little time at least for people to say, hey, can you just, I want to get a picture of your presentation, or I'd like to know a little bit more about this, or could I do it this way, right? So it's a really, really brilliant way to do that. Again, the trainers on stage. What I didn't put on here, other than Jan is the speaker who has probably been with us, maybe not Jan and Sid, right? But Sid Jacobson, who does a presentation on NLP. But Jan has been with us for the longest time. You never know, the speakers do change up. So I didn't put other speakers on this page, but there will definitely be another speaker on day 3 and on day 4. If I can switch so on day 4, Day 4, again, here's where we're focused on step 6 and step 7, right? Step 6 is condition it. Ding, ding, woof, woof, ding, ding, woof, woof, ding, ding, woof, woof. Do it over and over until it sticks. Do it over and over until it sticks, right? So that is what step 6 is all about, right? Because you cannot have lasting change unless you condition it in, right? If not, you're going to go back to your old habits and behaviors and identities. So with that, and then step 7, test and check for ecology, link to a higher purpose and empowering environment, pain to the old, pleasure to the new, identity, systems for support. Okay, so I see you guys trying to do it with me, which I love. Awesome, great, thank you. The only way to learn is do it over and over until it sticks, right? Just keep doing it over and over again. And so, yeah, exactly. Ding, ding, wolf, wolf. That's exactly the key. That is exactly the key, Dan. I have to tell you, when I was a senior leader, I was like, coming up to the event, I had flashcards, right? Like in my life, I had a few minutes. I'm like, okay, step 1. So, which is why I know these things so well. You can ask me any one and I'm like, I know what it is. I know what it is. I can immediately, it is muscle memory in my body at this point. And it's really important for us to know that. In fact, let me go to the next slide. I'm going to spend more time on this next. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back and say what else is on this before I talk about it. So the big thing that happens on this day is Vicky comes out and she leads the life change exercise. And this is the opportunity for the participants to take all of this information they've learned over the 4 days and help somebody with a challenge that they have. Right? Actually, it's life challenge, not life change, life challenge. So that's the big thing that happens on that day, followed by a celebratory activity, which is our board break. And again, I pulled out a picture. There's Steve Consiglio, who's there and helping somebody, because of course, you know, again, in the days when we were in person, there'd be a room full of 600 plus people and everyone's breaking boards and we'd be lined up and people would come through and break boards. And it's incredible energy there. So we got Steve Consiglio there. There's Michelle Scarafile, Laz. I can't see who this is here. But anyway, so fun times there. So let me talk a little bit more about, again, just high chunk, who the roles are, what we're doing, okay? So the first thing is, of course, Tony Robbins, right? We're here to learn about the tools and techniques that Tony Robbins. And while Tony is not live at this event, he's there in video. And so there's a lot of things that video that we watch that he sets us up for what how he defines a leader. And then Joseph McClellan III is really there to drive home those points, to share his own stories of leadership. And then we have the trainers, the senior leaders, and the speakers. And we have very distinct roles and very important roles. So again, obviously, you know, the speakers like Jan Hargrave and Sid Jacobson, Vernice Flygirl has been there the past couple of years, and there's some others, and who knows who we'll have this year. So we have the speakers. Now, the speakers are generally not speaking on Tony's content, right? They are not experts in Tony's content, but they have an expertise of their own and they're sharing with us, okay? The senior leaders. So the senior leaders have such a key role at this event, unlike other events. While we all have important roles at all events, the senior leaders in this is particularly important in terms of holding the space for the team. So if you remember, so say day 2, right? We come in day 2, we have our team meeting, and your trainer that you're with will present the very first skill session for the day, right? Different than what's on the stage. They'll present something like, I don't know, path of meaning or whatever they'll present in the morning. We go through our morning, and then after lunch, we come back and you go back into team meetings. Now, at this point, your trainer is going to leave your team and go present that same skill session they presented in the morning to 3 other teams. It is a responsibility, excuse me, of the senior leaders to hold the space, if you will, for the teams. So the reason I asked Donna, to make sure that you all know the 7 Master Step dance, sometimes you have a few minutes just while people are coming in and out of the sessions. And it's a great opportunity to get off of the microphone and just check in with your team. Just check in with your team. See if they have any quick questions. Or better yet, what they love to do, whenever I used to be as a senior leader, I'd be in my group, I'd be waiting for the next person. All right, come on, guys, quickly, very quickly. We're going to do the 7 Master Steps dance together. And they love it. They can't get enough of it, right? Because repetition is the mother of skill. So for you to lead them, do you have to know it a little bit, or do you have to know it with complete confidence? You got to know it. Absolutely. I see you guys there. Awesome. Thank you. You've got to know it with complete confidence. And so that's why I always say, if you're a senior leader working with me and my team, you got to know that. We meet before and I'm like, you know this 100% through and through with complete confidence. So I encourage you. And that's why, in fact, you see on the left-hand side, I have this 7 Master Steps, because it is one of the backbones. It is one of the backbones of this event. Okay. So knowing that in and out, just being able to get it in your body, I encourage you between now and June, when it's time for Leadership Academy, practice it over and over until it sticks. The other thing that I would encourage you to take a look at is the path of meaning. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive in the path of meaning here, but it is near and dear to my heart, and the thing that I presented on at Leadership Academy more than any other thing I presented. So I really love it. And I will also tell you, there are people who have come to me, have seen path of meaning for year after year after year, and we're like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't really understand. So let me see if I can just give you a quick, and I'm going to just want a minute over, Jonah. I'll be very quick here, but here's what I asked you to do. If you remember in the past, you may have heard Tony say that people chunk in 3s. So it's 1, 2, 3, many. Once you go beyond 3, people are like, what? Like what? They're lost. So the path of meaning works the same way. It's chunked in 3s: body, mind, and spirit. So that's the first thing you want to know. And pull it out in your book, pull it out and take a look at that page. And then in each one of those 3 chunks, it's chunked again into 3 pieces. So when you think about it, it's just 3 by 3. You know, like it takes away some of that overwhelm by knowing that it looks like it's 100 tools, and it kind of, there's a lot of tools in there, but you don't have to know every tool. You know, somebody shared before about like getting in your head and getting nervous about it. Pick 1 or 2 tools and perfect those before you go on to another couple of tools. You don't have to know every tool to affect change in someone's life. And the truth is, your presence with them is the thing that will create the greatest change. And then finally, my last slide here, Donna, let me quickly wrap up. I just want to say another thing about the team meetings and round robins. So again, the types of skill sessions we train there on are things like agreement frame, beliefs, physiology. This is not everything, scramble. But so those are some of the type of things. And they're very interactive. And often your trainer will say, hey, Marty, we're working together at this event. I'm going to be presenting beliefs, and I need someone to work with me. I need a model. So I'm going to ask you to participate with me in this presentation. And I will give her the information that I want her and how I want her to support me during the event. Okay. The other thing we do is we play games. And right? Yes. All right, Maria. Yes, games. We play games. Now, I would ask this question, but we're late, so I'm just going to say this. We play games because it's a great way for people to learn about their leadership style. How are they showing up? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. It's not just a game, right? And when you see people, how they show up, do they participate? Do they lay back? It's a really great opportunity. And these are such fun, silly games, right? And some people like, oh, it's not that big a deal. And then some people are out there like with fisticuffs trying to, you know, beat the other people so they can win. Everybody has a different approach to it, but it's a really great opportunity. And the trainers, when they're leading the games, they will close it up with what are the lessons they might have learned, and maybe even offer some additional lessons. So I know at the next cafe, you guys are going to have an opportunity to play the games again, which that will make you feel even more comfortable and confident when it comes to Leadership Academy. We have some great people who are going to be leading those games at the next session.